SeaJay, your favorite scuba diver here with Deep South Divers. We are leaving our home in Savannah, Georgia today. We are headed up to Lake Norman in North Carolina in a small town called Cornelius. We're going to work for the Sterling Point Homeowners Association. This is Sterling Point right here. Our job is to inspect their dock systems. They have two of them. This is A dock right here. And over here is B dock. The Sterling Point HOA wants to know what kind of issues that they have with the dock. And here you see my camera is mounted on my mask, so you're going to be looking at exactly what I'm looking at live. And my tender Hunter there, handing me a set of fins. So these are the 6 major issues that we observed with the dock systems. And I'm going to start on the pier head. The pier heads, I guess I should say. This is the non-floating portion of the docks. It's held up by wood piles, or wood pilings. And there are cross braces that sort of brace the whole thing laterally to make sure that it doesn't collapse. And these cross braces are not even really attached anymore. They used to be nailed in place. The nails have long since corroded away. And in some cases, those cross braces are just sitting in the mud, not doing anything. That's an easy fix, and of course I will provide an estimate for you. Easy way to get an increased margin of safety there. There's also quite a bit of debris here right around the dock. This water depth is 3 or 4 feet deep, and if somebody were to jump in, they can easily impale themselves on something there. Here's a stump or an old piling that is just sitting there waiting for somebody to fall on it. That definitely needs to be cut down. If somebody were to fall on that, it would cause a pretty serious issue. The second issue that we saw here were these cross braces, these metal cross braces that are attached to the spud tubes. So spuds are poles that stick in the ground, and they hold the floating portion of the dock in place, and these tubes slide up and down on those spuds. You can see that these cross braces are either broken off or corroded off. You can see the spud tubes themselves are quite corroded, sort of just falling apart. They definitely need to be replaced. Just rusted right through. I'm making note here as to what slip these issues are in, so you see me rattling off numbers. And Hunter, of course, reading the numbers to me. It's an interesting corrosion pattern here.
What number? 29.
So I could have just gone through every single slip and just read the numbers and pointed out the issues, but instead I sort of brought everything together to be more comprehensive and a lot less boring to watch. About a third of the cross braces are not providing any structural support whatsoever. Maybe as much as half. So if you're looking at a spud and a tube, it's pretty much not doing much, in terms of holding it in place. And of course we had some rain that day. This is what it looks like when you're diving in the rain. And in case you've never been in the water when diving, this is what it looks like under the rain. Very unique view. Not everything was trashed. You can see here, this is an interesting repair. This appears to be a newer repair to the dock. This angle iron here was nothing like any of the other angle iron on the dock. And that's actually in pretty good shape. Structurally it works. And I didn't really see any issues there. But there's more of that rain. What it's like from the fish point of view in the rain. Something most people in the world never get to see. All right, so third issue here, missing or loose fasteners on the outer bracing. So this girder type structure is a structure that runs parallel to each dock, right? Both A dock and B dock. And it sits at the end of each of the dock fingers, and it sort of keeps the shape of the dock.
32.
So the problem is that these fasteners, these bolts, nuts and bolts, have corroded away in many cases. And again, I would say about a third of them are gone. See, they just kind of crumble apart in my hands there. And the reason for that is galvanic corrosion, and I'll explain that here at the very end of the video.
30.
And of course, I got to dive with my dive buddy there, Isaac Porter. He's a member of the Homeowners Association. He looks great underwater. And I was very thrilled to dive with him because he could come down there and see everything I was seeing also. Now here's part of that, part of the problem number 4, crushed or corroded outer bracing. So this outer bracing, again, this runs parallel to the main part of the dock and perpendicular to the fingers, and it holds all the ends of the fingers together, right? So it sits underwater about 4 or 5 feet. And it has been taking quite a bit of electrolysis over decades to just thin the metal and turn each of those braces into just kind of a wire, you know? Very sharp, probably fairly dangerous for swimmers. Somebody can easily get impaled with one of those things, and it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. The only way to really address this is to replace those outer bracings.
All right, BT2.
Totally disconnected there.
Yeah, I see that.
We did note in some cases that these boat lifts that go up and down, it appears as if in some cases the boat lift had impacted that outer bracing and crushed the outer bracing, like you see here. Of course, it probably wasn't an issue for many years until the outer bracing became thin and rusted and kind of fallen apart there. And all of that definitely needs to be replaced. Of course, I will provide an estimate. While this structure is there, you can see that would be a bad hazard for swimming. Somebody jumping off that dock. But while these braces are collapsed and not holding the ends of the fingers, those fingers they have very little lateral rigidity. So if a boat pulls up to the finger, it's liable to bend or maim the finger if he docks up even normally. Another impale point, that's something that definitely needs to be addressed from a safety issue, especially because people are going to be swimming off these docks, Somebody's got to go to the bathroom or whatever. They're going to jump in. If they're hot, they're going to jump in.
All right, B21.
People skiing and swimming and having a good time on the docks could have a real bad day. And that sits about 3 feet underwater there. All of that outer bracing needs to be replaced. And I think the reason that this one's actually broken like that is because of some of the boat lifts. Probably when they submerge to wet the boat, to put the boat in the water, they probably impact those outer bracings. So that would be something that it would be important to make sure that the new design was deep enough that it wouldn't cause an issue with the boat lifts.
All right, slip 11.
This is probably the most alarming issue, number 5, separated spuds. This is a spud supposed to go down into the ground, and it's not there. And that's because it's over there. So, you know, I joke about it, but what it means is it means that the dock is shifted over in one direction. The dock is still there, so clearly it hasn't caused absolute destruction or anything, but that's how the dock stays anchored to the bottom. And so it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. If there were a big storm or something, all those boats sitting on that dock, they would all rely on that dock staying in place, and it really can't. In all, I counted 4 separated spuds. And they're all on a dock.
All right, slip number 12.
So I just said that is slip number 12. See the corrosion there on the spud tube. Barely holding on with the braces, and a separation right there. From a safety standpoint, I wouldn't recommend anybody swimming from this dock anymore, which is, you know, it's a terrible thing to actually have to tell people, but I think for their own safety, I think that they should probably not be swimming off the end of that dock. You know, they could probably dive off the end of the dock because you can see, but if you're just jumping in the water, you know, it's possible to hit one of these separated spuds. There's quite a bit of rust and flaking metal, a lot of sharp edges. You can see the gloves that I'm using there are cut protective gloves. And unless somebody's going to swim with cut protected gloves, I wouldn't recommend swimming off the end of this dock. Number 15 spud isn't even there. There's a chain, and the spud is 2 feet under the water. Yeah, maybe 3 feet. But until these are repaired, I wouldn't recommend anybody swimming off the end of that. At least jumping off the end of the dock. But I mean, even, you know, a kick or something would still cut somebody up pretty badly. And number 6, lack of anodes. So all of this stuff kind of rusts away and sort of falls apart over time. And an anode is a piece of metal that you can put on the dock that will trade electrons more readily than the steel that you see here. And it will sort of sacrifice itself and help to prevent corrosion that you see here. See you on the next video.